welcome back. You are listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Thank you for staying with us. Remember, you can reach out to us during or after the show on our off-air hotline. It's 469-319-0660. Or if you want to just get the resources to the show, aren't quite ready to talk, you can text the word talk to 469-319-0660. Of course, you can reach out, you can get access to all the shows, including this one and all of them segmented out at andytuttle.com. And check us out on Facebook, too, at Tuttle Talk. I have with me here, kind of like I said, this whole show is a precursor to our Success Month that we're having in January, and we've got some great interviews lined up for you. And we've got a very successful man and a very successful company here with you today. The CEO of Cookies by Design, Jack Long, is sitting here with us today. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Andy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Now, it's not just cookies we're talking about here. Not just your run-of-the-mill chocolate chip cookies.
No.
These are very fancy cookies.
Yeah, they're works of art.
They are works of art. And if you go, and the website's cookiesbydesign.com, so you want to go check that out, you can see all their arrangements. So, you say you're a cookie company, but you're also more than that. Yeah,
we're primarily a gift company. 30 years ago, our founder, Gwen Gillum, found herself an unemployed mother of one up in Tulsa. And she kind of recognized there wasn't really gifts for guys. If you're in a hospital and you're a lady, it's lovely to get flowers. If you're a guy, not so much.
Right, you get the flowers like,
Exactly. Give them up to your wife, re-gift them. But so she recognized that, and she put together cookies and flowers in a cookie bouquet. We was the original cookie bouquet company. And from then, that humble beginning, she packed up all her belongings, put a dog in a Jeep, and drove to Dallas to create her first store in 1983. And we're a franchise company, so now we're up at 100 locations across the country.
Wow.
Our revenue is about 35 million.
In cookies?
In just cookies alone. And we have ambition to go international, but, we're consolidating at the moment.
John Butcher's responsible for $12 million of that revenue. He loves him some Cookies by Design cookies. So you're already been very successful. That's a great story. That's like the first set of these kind of gifting deals besides flowers. I didn't realize how long, 30 years, I didn't realize how long it's been around.
Right.
And so you guys have obviously made some advancements. You're into the online space very heavily. You've got a great presence there. Obviously, you have 100 franchises around the nation. That's enormous, and I'm sure that's just the start for you guys.
Yeah.
What are you doing to kind of get into this, kind of fit into all the new, there's all this gluten-free stuff coming out now. There's a lot of people with celiacs. I have gluten intolerances too, that I suffered through for 20 years. I had no idea until I got married, and she was like, I'm so annoyed by all your pain and, tight stomach stuff issues. It's not fun to talk about, but it's like, babe, I didn't know. I had no idea. I just thought I had bad stomach problems. Well, apparently there are some issues that can solve that, but typically if you go to have foods that are gluten-free, it's very difficult to get anything that tastes good. But you guys are doing something in that space.
Yeah, we've just launched our gluten-free range. It took us about 18 months. We brought a new food scientist into the business, a lady called Pamela Roybal, and she was able to develop our product to replicate what we do in a gluten market. So to take wheat out of our product is terribly difficult because it's a bouquet. It has to have stability on it. But we also said at the very beginning, it's pointless us doing this if it's going to compromise our flavor. It has to be good. A lot of gluten-free alternatives are just like cardboard. They're just really, really bland. And so it took us all the time and effort that we wanted to make sure that this was as good a replication of our core product as it could be. And we're delighted to say that it is. So we genuinely believe in the taste testing that we did. And if you didn't know it was gluten-free, you wouldn't know it was gluten-free. It's that good. And so we're thrilled that it's that good. And we've just launched last month the gluten-free range, and it's really, really been popular.
That's a big deal. I mean, that helps me out because then it helps, especially if you can't tell, if I wasn't sure, I would probably just get the gluten-free.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know, and I wanted to be able to eat it. And so I give it to him. Now, how long did it take you to find out? Because let me tell you, I actually had a Philly cheesesteak last week, and I was like, oh, man, because, the bread on those are so delicious. Right. And I was like, oh, give me the gluten-free version because they had it.
Right.
And I was like, I'll take it. And it ruined the delicious Philly cheesesteak sandwich. So I'm a little skeptical, of course, or I was a little skeptical about the cookie thing until after meeting you, of course, and getting this. I was like, oh, no way. But you said it actually, how long did it take you to get up with this recipe? Because it didn't just happen overnight.
No, about 18 months to get it right. And then you have to go through, you have to appreciate that there's, 2 million celiacs in this country just now, but there's 20 million people with what you have, which is a gluten intolerance. And it is a serious issue. It's genuine pain, from the acute, which is extreme pain, all the way to mild discomfort.
Right, like the annoying kind of, oh man, this is just not fun.
Yeah, and so what we do, we had an acute celiac, is the wife of our Chip Streetside director of production. She was our taste guinea pig all the way through this. We kind of knew if at any stage she fell over, we were doing it wrong. And all the way through, she was delighted. Her and her sister are celiac, and then they were thrilled that they could actually enjoy something that they'd never, ever had the opportunity of having before. So it was great for us to have that kind of resource close by. And, you know, when if you think about just the DFW area, there's 500,000 people with gluten-free intolerance. You know, it's 6 to 8% of the population. And that is a huge amount of people that just are wandering around saying, you know, just spare us some love, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, that's a lot of foresight you guys had, knowing, of course, doing your market research,
right,
finding out how big the market is, not only here in the state, but and in the city, but also nationally, and then to invest the money, because you got to go get a new food scientist. That's not cheap.
Yeah.
You got to spend all the time and do all the recipes that aren't right.
Right.
And that, a lot of companies just don't do that. That's why they're just turning out cardboard.
Yeah, and the new FDA regulation is that your product has to be less than 20 parts per million of wheat trace. And ours came in, we sent them to the lab, the highest one was about 14, so we were way under. But it's very, very strict, because if you go above that, you're not allowed to market yourself as gluten-free.
Oh.
So there are guidelines appearing. So it's important for us or for our customers to know that we are way under those guidelines, and everything that we do is there to protect customers.
That's not only protect them, but, well, you protect them from the gluten, but not necessarily from a little bit bigger waistline. You're listening to Tuttle Talk. I'm here with Jack Long, CEO of Cookies by Design. We're actually talking about, to all of you people that are gluten intolerant like me, or have celiacs, and I'm telling you, I can't wait to get some for my nephew, because he doesn't get to have good cookies. Now, his mom, my sister, she works so hard to get them gluten-free stuff, and she makes them things, and she does her best, and she makes some pretty good stuff. But certain things are just not recipes for her. So to be able to, she doesn't have 18 months and a food scientist to help her get cookies, so to be able to send them some delicious cookies that him and his sister's younger sister can eat, I mean, that's a great thing. So if you're interested and you want to get some gluten-free cookies, or just any kind of fantastic cookies, not only for you, but for your spouse, like they said, like Jack says, they're primarily a gift company. And you guys are contracted out with, like you said, all the sports teams, and
yeah, we carry the NFL licenses, the MLB, the NBA, and the NHL, and also all the college sports as well. So
that just means you can get cookies that have like their logos or their designs, and you could do a themed party.
Absolutely,
with your cookies.
Yeah, and we also do. We're great for this time of year for business gifts. We have a huge range of business gifts, you know, with companies that want to put their logo on cookies and give them out as thank yous. That's a nice thing to give it this time of year, because, you know, people like to see something that's edible, but it's also got their image on it, so that it can endure with their customers.
Ding, ding, ding. That's a big one. I know we have a lot of business owners that listen to this show. That's a unique gift, guys. Don't do what you've done every year. Do something different. Go to Cookies by Design, and you can even get a gluten-free version. Nothing wrong with that. Put your logo on it. Jack Long, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, guys. Remember, you can go look us up, Tuttle Talk on Facebook. You can get all the information to Cookies by Design there. But you can also just go to cookiesbydesign.com. Find out, get that, order it. Let me know. Give me your feedback or foodback for how you think those cookies taste, because I think you'll find that they are delicious. All right, guys, that is it for this hour. You're listening to Tuttle Talk. I hope you've enjoyed it. The time, I know I have. Remember, if you want to catch this show in its entirety or any past show, you can go to andytuttle.com. Don't forget to check out volunteernorthdallas.org and help us make sandwiches for the homeless every Saturday from 11 to 1. And you can check out Chris Oleg, who started that here for us. He's over at the Zen in Austin Ranch this Saturday, every Saturday, at 11 o'clock. You can do that and make sandwiches for the homeless. Don't forget also to go to bootcampaign.com. Get your boots on. Help us support the troops. No matter where you stand on political leanings, it is important to support those guys. They're out there today and every day fighting for you. I'd like to thank my expert contributors. I'd like to thank our special guests, Jack Long and John Butcher of the Butcher Group, for going deep with us about why realtors are important and how much they really fight for you. I hope you go back and listen to this recording if you are doubtful that they're valuable to you, because they are on so many levels. Remember, you can reach out to us on our off-air hotline, 469-319-0660, 469-319-0660. Thank you, Dan Bradford, our production director, and the entire family here at 660 AM. The Answer, that's it for today's show. I'm your host, Andy Tuttle. Be back next week with more great real estate and finance tips for you. Thank you so much for listening to Tuttle Talk, where we're making financial intelligence a priority in the community. Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to Tuttle Talk on 660 AM The Answer. You can reach Andy at 214-736-9696. That's 214-736-9696. Or email him, questions@andytuttle.com. Don't forget to become a fan of his show by going to facebook.com/Tuttle Talk. You can also catch previous shows by going to andytuttle.com.